What's up, ladies, gents, countrymen, people that have survived the hurricane, everybody? It's Dominic D'Angelo. I am of adfreeshows.com, scoops.com, and onetruesport.com. But I'm here with Robert Karpelis, who did weather the storm. WE Creative _ish. Robert, good to still have you here with us.
Man, it is good to be here. Happy to be here with power, with my house in good shape. Wishing thoughts and prayers. It always sounds so condescending, but I genuinely do. Anyone that got
Yeah,
affected
I genuinely mean it
by
when that happens.
Milton, I have a lot of friends that were in the path of this storm and had to evacuate, and for the most part, people are okay. This storm was massive and then just kind of took on a life of its own. But I'm happy to be here with you guys today. I will say hi to some of the folks. Ron Ward, who said had to pop in and make sure Robert and his family are okay. Take care of yourself, Florida. Dre Owens on vacation, but still made RNI. Be safe, Robert. Hope you're enjoying your vacation. Johnny Disco, hey RNI, and Greg Jacobson. Happy Thursday, everybody. Dominic, was that you that got Rob? Wow, a Jets shot there. Apparently, you're firing Jets coaches. And Willie Thornbrew says, "Pick me a winner for Big Brother." Man, it kind of feels like it's Chelsea's to lose, but
Oh,
we shall see. I was enjoying going back and forth with Ricochet, talking about how Angela may be the biggest heel in the history of television, but that is all the Big Brother news that we are going to be talking about here today, because we have got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of news going on, Mr. D'Angelo.
yeah, Robert. Dynamite may have aired on Tuesday, but it's being Thursday. We still got plenty of all AEW to talk about actually today. I don't think I have anything on tap with WE related today, unless you have something you wanted to touch upon. But I guess we should start. I guess it kind of ties into WE is the ratings. I didn't put this on the rundown, but wanted to get your thoughts. Dynamite really felt the effects of being on Tuesday, and I believe it was under 280,000 or something like that. And in comparison to what NXT got was nearly 870 something thousand, I believe, around that ballpark. Want to get your thoughts, Robert. Is this something to be concerned about, or just, hey, they changed the day, obviously, not just a blip on the radar moving forward with AEW, but they got some stuff to do.
Yes, it's a concern. This is a massive concern. This is a ring the alarm bells, put up your own hurricane shutters. Happy birthday, Tony Khan. But my God, don't answer any phone calls from the folks at Warner Discovery, because here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. As Andrew H. correctly points out, that it was 320,000 for Dynamite
Oh,
versus
thank you.
875,000 for NXT. NXT was Obafemi and Tony D'Angelo, whereas Dynamite was Bryan Danielson in your main event.
It's true.
There has to be concern within AEW over this. I know Tony Khan likes to no-sell this. I know Chris Jericho's out there mugging, like, the pundits all thought we weren't going to get a TV deal. Look what we did. This isn't great news for Warner Discovery. They're paying an average of $185 million a year for this commodity that a year ago was averaging 800,000 viewers, 2 years ago over 1 million viewers, and then did 320,000 viewers. Yes, it was a Tuesday. No, that is not enough of an excuse. And here's why. A massive number of people tuned into NXT. So wrestling fans were watching wrestling. And if you flash back to when NXT and AEW were on Wednesday nights, Dynamite was steamrolling the NXT product. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
NXT was rolling with guys that were just not stars, like Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong. Wait a minute. Doesn't matter. Warner has had has gotten punched in the mouth a lot in the last week. The utter collapse of the ratings here for Dynamite does not help that they're coming off of this Joker debacle.
Oh my God.
They have lost a fortune on this movie, and Warner Discovery, a publicly traded company that has been dragged through the muck and the mire since this merger, since these deals have gone into place. They had the failure of, obviously, the Flash movie. The Aquaman sequel did not deliver numbers for them. The Color Purple movie did not deliver the numbers or the Oscar buzz that they were anticipating. So they really needed a big win here. And signing and locking down AEW, a fresh IP property, felt like a win. But when you see this, the drop, even the average of 600 something thousand, when they're giving you Osprey Ricochet, when they're giving you Okada Bryan Danielson, and then to see that drop in half, really
Yeah.
did not know that Dynamite was Tuesday, not Wednesday. I didn't know. Scott Chaplin, my working stiff co-host, who is a big AEW fan, was not aware. Mike Lawrence, who's not a big AEW fan, literally had no idea Dynamite happened. I was texting about it yesterday. AEW needed to have made this a top priority. It's something that WWE did that used to be really obnoxious, but when they needed to move to a different night because they were preempted because of a stupid dog show or tennis, and it would be like Thursday Raw Thursday or Friday Raw Friday or Tuesday Raw, they hammered it home and they made it appointment television. AEW did not make Dynamite this week appointment television. Scott Chaplin on this week's episode of Working Stiff, which should be out later on today, hypothesized that Tony just threw in the towel. And we have seen Tony throw in the towel with Rampage across the board
Oh
as
yeah.
being a show that matters. And Collision has now sort of fallen into that. So Dynamite is their only major flagship show going into a pay-per-view this weekend. And they did not give you a lot to sink your teeth into to tune in and watch this episode of Dynamite. The suggestion that I had made was if they looked at this calendar for more than 1 week out and they said, oh damn, oh hot damn, we've got this situation going on with our preemption. Maybe for the 5th anniversary show, we take one of those two main events. We take Will Ospreay and Ricochet, and we hold it a week, and we put it at 9 o'clock opposite NXT, and you hype the hell out of it. Come tune over here. You're going to get this international title match. You're going to get this in-demand one-on-one contest that when these guys have wrestled before, it has changed the landscape of wrestling. And now they are going to lock up in the ring. You have to see it at appointment TV. They did not do that. They put it on a show that already had another main event. It didn't draw a huge rating then. They did not make this feel like you need to do everything in your power to watch this episode of Dynamite.
You know what it felt like, Robert? It felt like they like woke up late and they were just like, "Oh, we got to advertise for Dynamite this week." That's what it felt like. And we kind of got that with the Tony Khan tweet beforehand and everything. But yeah, something else you totally didn't even mention too with Warner Brothers and what they did was the loss of NBA, not there anymore, and so it really elevates and wants you to make the AEW product feel like a big deal. And coming into this, yeah, I mean the date change is always difficult when you have to make the adjustment, but you got a game plan for that kind of stuff and get the word out much about it as you can, and the ratings reflected what's been going on. And yeah, it's a very fair point when it comes to, hey, people are tuning in to NXT. Wrestling's on their radar for Tuesday night. AEW should be on their radar too, and it wasn't. So
You would think, but here's where we are. It's just unfortunate coming off of that Warner Discovery deal. You would have loved for them to have been on a hot streak and a hot
absolutely,
streak going into a Wrestle Dream pay-per-view that you and I will talk about in depth tomorrow. But there was a press conference yesterday that you were a part of.
that's
Did
right,
you
bro.
did you get to ask Tony why he didn't tie his shoe?
I did not. I did not. And I'm upset too because it wasn't a visual video call, so I couldn't ask him directly. It would be over audio anywho, but I did happen to get input about his with Jake the Snake and bringing somebody like a Lance Archer back. Kind of what we were talking about yesterday, Robert, when it's like you've seen these stars come and go and they don't show up and now they're here. And are you going to make use of these guys moving forward with the TV deal? Tony said he's tried his darndest basically with me when it comes to some of this stuff. And there's a lot on the roster that they worry about, but he thinks that everybody's going to benefit from this trade that they did. And he mentioned about, how there's trades in sports and you haven't seen that necessarily in wrestling too much is these trades going on. So he wanted to make use of that, thought it was a cool way to do it. And Jake Roberts has experience in Mexico, so he can help Lij now and all that stuff. So um, interesting, optimistic for it. Would love to see that kind of come to fruition. But yeah, there was a lot that Tony Khan talked about, including Daniel Garcia, Robert.
So
And
is Tony aware on the other program that they do have a draft every year with which there
oh,
are trades and people switch brands?
well,
Whether
that's funny too because yeah, he did mention that too. The if he was ever intrigued about doing a brand split or something like that, Jason Powell of Pro Wrestling Net asked him about that, and he said it's not a bad thought. It's an interesting thought. I definitely had considered many iterations of roster management and still working on some really interesting things in terms of the future of AEW media and the future of the roster. It's early to speculate on that, frankly, going into a new deal, what's to come, but it's a very interesting thought, and I have reflected on it and thought about it. Yeah, Robert.
split your roster,
Mhm.
split your damn roster. It's gonna because what it does is it forces you to think two different things about your talent, and having dealt with a roster split, it forces you to look at the folks that you have on Raw and the folks that you have on SmackDown, or the folks that you have on Dynamite, or the folks you have in Collision, if it's an AEW split, and say, what can I do with them? And if your answer is I don't know, that person shouldn't be there. That is a
Mhm.
failing on your part that you haven't come up with something for them as creative. But if there's not a spot for them on those two shows, cut them loose, let them go apply their wares elsewhere. When you put everybody just on these 4 hours of TV in such an amorphous way, it becomes confusing. It's like on Wrestle Dream, there is a match. It is the Acclaim versus MXM, the former Maximum Male Models. They have had no representation of this feud essentially on Dynamite. It has existed entirely on Collision. So if you're watching Collision, you're very familiar with what's going on. They have maybe had a backstage segment in the last several weeks on this, and that's it. You look at a Brody King who has not been on Dynamite in a very long time, and then
Yeah.
you're putting him in there against Darby Allin. If Brody King was a focal point of one of your brands because he's only existing on that brand, then it makes more sense. Instead, it just feels like the people I care about, the people that are important, are on Dynamite. The people that I kind of forget are on the roster, I have to do something with them, exist on Collision. And then the people who I really don't care about, I put on Rampage.
Did you think part of the aspect of maybe his trepidation in doing that is Collision is not popular right now?
Well, Collision is
What
not
do you-
popular because it's not an important show.
Right. It isn't.
Nothing happens on Collision that is truly consequential. No one has, and we have never come here on a Monday morning and the comment section for those joining us live, noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms. We appreciate you joining us live here. No one is ever just like, "Oh my God, did you see what happened on Collision? What a blockbuster angle! What a game-changing moment!" Never happens. And that's Tony's fault. He has 5 hours of TV time and he operates as if he only has 2 hours of TV time. And if those 2 hours are not on 8 to 10 Wednesday, he just throws up his hands and just, all right, you get whatever you get.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I'm with you on it. He's got to do something to charge up all those programs, and that we spoke about this yesterday too. Is how like you get the concern of okay, yeah, you have to tune in at everything with AEW. When it comes to WWE, you don't necessarily have to do that. And if you follow Raw, then you know what's going on in Raw for the most part. So very important to kind of do. Hopefully, he does it. Robert,
You want the show to be nourishing, you want it to be filling, you want it to be
very
good.
much.
And speaking of
Hmm.
nourishing, speaking of filling,
Ooh,
guys, we are going to talk about Magic Spoon. As a kid, I loved eating cereal. I was a big cereal fan, but honestly, ultimately became a guy who was enjoying Total because I just didn't want to eat all that sugar. I didn't want to start my day feeling that way. And they also don't give you the protein that you genuinely need. I was fortunate enough. I found Magic Spoon. First, they sent it to Rob Van Dam. They finally sent it to me. And guys, this is a nostalgically delicious cereal. It tastes just like childhood favorites, but without that sugar and a ton of protein. And if you're already a Magic Spoon fan, I have big news. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious and have already become a favorite before and after snack. It's great because I work from home. I go into the kitchen in the afternoon. I want to grab something. This thing is right there, and it has everything. This thing has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa. There are so many more. I'm a big cocoa guy. I also dig the marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. We have a special deal for our viewers, our listeners, our rumor and innuendoans. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/rumor. Or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/rumor for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream. We appreciate Magic Spoon for sponsoring this show. Appreciate you guys for supporting them, supporting us. It is something that your kids are going to love. They're maybe a little confused about the Blue Chew, but they are all on board for those Magic Spoon treats. I am all on board to hear what other treats we got from the Tony Khan press conference,
Oh,
Dom.
yes. We got some treats, Robert. We did get some treats regarding Daniel Garcia. Obviously, he cut the promo on Dynamite there. And we got a follow-up regarding him. I really like Daniel Garcia, Tony says, and I completely understand why he wanted to take some time before making a really important decision in his life and career. It's a life-changing decision, and I understand why somebody would want to reflect on these things, especially with the major contract year looming. Certainly someone that works hard, loves AEW, wants to be here, is a positive person in the locker room who spreads joy in the company and to the fans. And it's the kind of person you want to keep in AEW. I was thrilled to extend Danny's contract and have Danny stay in AEW for years to come. It's great news for AEW, the staff, for Danny personally, and for the fans. That's one thing I'm excited about for the future, getting Danny's contract settled. So yeah, Danny Garcia is a part of AEW. And it's, we can speculate on how much he's making or whatever like that. But do you think he is worth this valuable point of being one of the pillars of AEW? Does he have that potential, Robert, to kind of be in that realm of a Swerve Strickland or, a Will Ospreay, anything like that?
I think the importance of signing Danny Garcia to a long-term deal is Danny does seem to have potential. We don't know what that potential looks like. I wouldn't put him at the same level as an Ospreay or a Swerve, but he does seem like someone who, if given the right time and right opportunity, could be a commodity for the future. Why this was a win for Tony was the fact that he was able to sign someone who was, in fact, also talking to WWE. It kind of felt like, Paul Triple H Levesque would have put him in NXT, and they would have used that as an opportunity to groom and grow him. In AEW, he gets to already be a main event style star for them. He's a guy who works with top tier talent. He's going to theoretically be on TV. Hopefully they let him stop doing that stupid dance. And this was a victory for Tony to say, look, this guy could have left and he didn't. He stayed. This is great news. All is well. Remain calm. It's great for Danny because Danny probably got paid a little more than he would have been paid otherwise. And this does send a signal to some of those other folks that want to say, like, look, I got potential. I'm going to be around in the next 5, 10, 15 years. If you're a guy like Hook and your contract is coming up soon, and he's a dude who I feel like in 2025, if he were to go over to NXT, what an opportunity that would be for him. But if Tony can say, look, you stay here, I'm going to open up the purse strings. I'm going to make it worth your while. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it does set a little bit of a precedent for AEW after they've been hemorrhaging big name talent, out of there, from Cody Rhodes to Jade Cargill to CM Punk. And so,
to Ethan Page, who's now at the top of NXT, former NXT World Champion.
That too. Yeah, there's several names. Yeah, it just happens. So, yeah, and who knows what's going to happen with somebody like a Ricky Starks or a Wardlow, too, moving forward.
Who's Wardlow?
All right.
Dude, how is that guy gone from, existence? Not gone, we don't know he's not gone from the company. He's still theoretically under contract, but, Wardlow just doesn't exist.
I think somebody said, I want to say it was Mike Bennett or somebody indicated that Wardlow's dealing with a leg injury. So I know he's off television in regards to that, but yeah, don't hear about him, anything like that. It makes no sense. So, hey, I guess I did have a little, well, no, let's talk about this one. I want to get your perspective on this. MVP back, well, now in AEW, but back under the same roster as Chris Jericho, who the two have had notorious feud with, but legitimate with one another. Fightful Select is reporting that the tensions have already been relieved.
Your boy Sean Ross Sapp,
That's correct. Yes.
close personal friend.
Yes. Have already been relieved. Horrible Bengals fan, though. I will say that. After initiative from the Hurt Syndicate manager, according to them, MVP went directly to Jericho's locker room on his very first day on the job. While specific details of how the meeting went down are not provided, the belief is in AEW that things have been hashed out and there won't be an issue between the two moving forward. The two AEW stars has been seen interacting with each other backstage since then, and MVP has been praised by people backstage for taking the initiative and addressing the issues up front. Wow, Robert, they could have done that 2 years ago too. It kind of makes things simple. Handle it right up front. Confront the person. Hash it out. And so, I mean, great for AEW to kind of do that, and hat tip to MVP for kind of taking the initiative to do that. So,
Well,
but
MVP is a professional. He's someone who has learned over the 20 plus years of his career how to handle things properly. That things may have escalated in the past, tensions rise. Jericho has obviously had issues not only with MVP but with Goldberg in the past. He had issues with CM Punk in the past. He had issues with a lot of folks in the past. He gets passionate about what he's doing. Let's put it that way. MVP, when he came back to the WWE, in addition to being part of the Hurt Business, was a producer, was a backstage agent, understood how you need to have that harmony, you need to have that camaraderie in order for there to be success and do business the right way. So when you go in there, when you know that there is tension between you and someone else, you go and handle it head on. It's what we assumed Tony Khan did with CM Punk and Colt Cabana all those years ago. That did not happen. We assume that was what Tony did with CM Punk and the Elite. That did not happen. We assume that's what Tony Khan did with CM Punk and Jack Perry. That did not happen. We assume that was what Tony Khan did with Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston. We assume that was what they did with Sammy Guevara and Andrade. Are you noticing a continuing weird pattern of stuff going on here? But MVP, who was brought up the right way in the wrestling business, was like, I'm going to go in there. We're going to clear the air. We're going to work together. You don't need to be best friends. You don't need to be, pals. You just need to be able to be professional with one another. Kudos to MVP. Kudos to Chris Jericho, both those guys squashing this and finding a way to create a little bit of harmony in their partnership. And guys, if you're looking to create some harmony in your partnership,
man,
our next sponsor needs no introduction. You've seen the ads. You've heard us talk about it a million times. And I bet there's a big part of you, pun intended, that wants to try it. What am I talking about? Blue Chew. That's right. This isn't your grandpa's blue pill. This is the one, the OG chewable tablet for better sex. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you are approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Blue Chew wants you to have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Guys, if you want to get into your own Hurt business, you want to open up your own Hurt syndicate, there's only one option for you because Blue Chew wants the entire country rock hard. They told me that's their mission. They will not stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house. But enough about Bobby Lashley. They want to make sure every tent is pitched till every rod is raised. And we're not talking about Rod McMahon. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code RUMOR to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode of Rumor at Innuendo. I haven't got a chance to do a Blue Chew ad in a couple of since I was out sick. It feels good to be back. It's a great transition. And what is our next story that we're going to talk about while we're all thinking about Blue Chew?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk about some NDAs, Robert.
God damn it, Dom.
Yes, this is kind of a little bit of the news that broke while Robert was away. Janelle Grant, her attorney side, everybody has been kind of imploring WE to make the effort to release their employees from their NDAs so they can speak out on this. Apparently, a representative from Janelle Grant spoke with Brandon Thurston in Post Wrestling and said, I know that Janelle's legal team has heard from former WE employees about their experience within WE. They themselves, even most recently, up until a couple of days ago, have heard from former employees about this toxic work environment that has existed within WWE and could potentially, we don't know what's going on now, which is part of the reason why we're asking for them to open up their doors, allow these women and potentially men to speak freely and waive these NDAs if they have nothing to hide. If they claim they turned the page on this abuse and toxic workplace, then let the people speak about their experience so they can move on. Robert, as an attorney, as somebody that's worked for WWE, would this be a good move on WWE to show goodwill on the end aspect for Janelle Grant in this case moving forward to kind of almost wash their hands of this in certain ways?
It depends on who's asking for the NDA releases and why. So there are folks who are under NDA for reasons that are not nefarious sexual assault claims or some sort of toxic workplace that was at the root of what Vince McMahon did. There are legitimate NDAs that are signed by parties for the mutual parting of the ways for a number of different reasons. So the problem is you wind up having to take it on a case by case basis, which NDA you're going to allow someone out of or not. I understand why Janelle Grant's people are trying to do this. They want to open up the floodgates to say, look at this deluge, all these people that have all these major complaints against the WWE. And then it winds up becoming a situation of which ones are more serious than others, which is never a position you want to put someone in who was, in fact, a victim of something that may have occurred, which may have been settled monetarily. And that's why they don't want to come forward. Either it's an NDA and you're going to receive this compensation, but if you speak about this, we have the right to take that money back and sue you, or NDAs that were signed where there was no money that exchanged hands, but there is still that threat of future litigation. I have seen NDAs a variety of different ways spell those sorts of things out. I don't know who's reaching out to Janelle Grant's people to say we want to be let out of this. I think if WWE takes this on a case by case basis, and if it is a situation where someone is alleging Vince McMahon personally, in his capacity as CEO or as president, whatever his role was at the time, did something to me that was inappropriate, I would like to be able to speak out about this. And then, yes, the heat is on Vince. The heat is not necessarily on the company. If it's someone that wants to go in there and has an axe to grind about, why I was fired or how I was fired or how I was handled or something like that, and it's unrelated to this, everything gets lost, and then it just becomes an onslaught of accusations against WWE, and you can't tell the difference between what is a Harvey Weinstein level of egregious behavior or there's the other side of it. There was that issue that happened with like Aziz Ansari during the Me Too thing, where he just went on what seemed like a bad date
Yeah.
and was lumped into the same level. And then you wind up in that position where you lose the message, you lose the thread that people that seriously went through a truly traumatic experience do not need that to be diminished. But at the same time, you do not need to give a platform for someone who's mad that I don't like that I got fired. I don't think it was for cause, and I signed an NDA, but I want to complain about it. So there's two sides to it. I think if Janelle's people pick the individuals thoughtfully, consider with real consideration, say these are the people we want to be allowed to have their voices heard, I think WWE can at least listen, or their legal team can at least listen to it. But what you should be listening to, instead of this lawyer, is all the various shows that Dominic D'Angelo is a fantastic producer of. First and foremost, is Working Stiff, because the audio is sitting in your inbox. So it should be uploaded within the next, let's say, hour or so. Myself and Scott Chaplin, we talk Wrestle Dream, we talk AEW, talk a little bit of WWE. We get into a lot of fun topics. It's always a good time. But Dom, you got a couple other shows that are also pretty decent time.
Hey, thanks. Yeah. Tonight, if you want to join me in RVD Live, you can. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll go live on RVD's YouTube channel and on rvdtv.com. So go to rvdtv.com. You can interact with me and Rob. You can ask some questions. Rob always answers and stuff like that. So it'll be a fun live show that we're going to be recording tonight. And tomorrow I'll be doing Greg Gagne Magnum TA, Straight Talk with the Boss. We'll be chatting up all the bad blood, their thoughts on all that going down. Tune in at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4horsemannetwork.com for that. Yes, Robert, you guys tune in for Working Stiff. That'll be up later today. And get some good stuff coming up. Wrestle Dream, we'll be previewing that tomorrow, right, Robert?
We will. We'll be previewing Wrestle Dream. We'll be talking about SmackDown on USA Network. We'll be talking about all the news that happens between now and noon Eastern tomorrow, because we will be live on a plethora of platforms, including the WWE Creative_ish X account, the SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on ad-free shows, Working Stiff, and Rumor and Innuendo. So until next time, on behalf of the man who is now cursing the Knicks, which I'm totally fine with, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karplas. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Yes, Patrick Ewing, I'm coming for you.